There is some interesting DC news in general that we have to mull over, Brett, because
Yeah.
some crazy info has come out about Joker 2. All right. Now, first of all, before we even get into the news that's come out, how do you feel in general about there being a Joker 2? I just want to get your take on that before we get into the craziness that's come out this week about it.
Yeah, so I did actually go into that a bit last week when I was doing the solo podcast, but I was
Yeah.
trying to keep it short. I'm a little mixed on it because of the way that the first film kind of left off with this kind of ambiguity, and there were a lot of questions and a lot of interpretations over whether
Yeah.
how much of that film that the things we saw were in Joker's head, if they actually happened, was he in the
Yeah.
asylum all along? And by just in the nature of having a sequel, it seems like some of that mystery, maybe it won't, maybe they'll execute it some amazing way, but some of that
Yeah.
mystery will maybe be taken away. Some things may be answered that maybe we didn't want answered and that made that movie so special. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't, I always say, like, you don't always have to have a sequel. I'm a fan of standalone things, but at the same time, I mean, I feel like every director and every like big actor that's attached to something always says, well, we're not thinking of a sequel, but if the right script comes along and the right idea, then we'll
Yeah.
do it. And it's like,
Yeah.
or if the paycheck's big enough, I don't know, one or the other. So it looks like they had something here, and but now we have way more detail than I had last week. So yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into the details because listen, I'll admit, similar to you, I was skeptical about the idea of there being any kind of sequel to Joker. To me, that was a special film. It was Todd Phillips really swinging for the fences, and it gave me a whole new level of respect for him because I enjoyed the Hangover movies. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that one that he did, that road trip movie he did with Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis.
Due date.
I
Yeah.
like, yeah, I enjoy me some Todd Phillips, but with the Joker, now I suddenly realize, like, oh no, we have like there's an auteur in there. There's an actual artist with a vision, with
Right.
something to say in there. And I know for a fact, he said it in interviews and whatnot. And I thought it was very clear to see too that, he essentially had a story and a statement he wanted to make. And he knew that he could make this story about just some random guy named Arthur Fleck, and a certain amount of people will watch it and be moved by it. But if he makes it about the Joker, now suddenly in this current landscape, now there's a lot more eyeballs and a lot more interested. So he kind of did a thing where it's like him and Joaquin Phoenix basically kind of had a type of story they want to tell. And it sounded like they almost retrofitted it to DC, so to make it more palatable, to make it
Right.
sell. And look, it ended up being $1 billion movie. So
It
clearly
worked.
that thought really worked. It really connected. And but thinking of it that way, like, that made the thought of a sequel to me even more outlandish. Like, here is this very personal story that's very much about societal issues, and it's some sort of statement movie about how we treat people with mental illness and all this kind of stuff. How do you now go and now here comes part 2? And it's like, but here's the twist, right? Because we're getting Joker 2, the musical. That's the news now. And now it's got me wondering. I'm like, wait a minute. So maybe this isn't going to be exactly what we think. Maybe this is going to be another kind of weird left turn reinvention from Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, because the first one, I don't know if you noticed this, Brett, it was not a musical. So,
Right.
so,
But
so
there
this
was
one,
a musicality, and music was a very important factor.
yes,
So it's not that big of a stretch necessarily. But I also wonder, when they say it's a musical, I'm curious, like, how far are we going with that? Like, are there just a
yeah,
couple of like weird, dreamy dance numbers and maybe a song or two, or are they really going like, is this going to be like In the Heights, the movie? So
yeah.
I'm curious. But yes, yeah,
Well,
continue on.
Well, one sort of clue where they might be going with that is the supposed co-star for Joaquin Phoenix in this one, because part of the big report that came out from Variety is not only is it going to be a musical, but Lady Gaga is apparently in early talks to play Harley Quinn in the Joker 2.
Yeah.
So that might imply that there's a fair amount of music in this too, because she's an amazing singer and artist,
Right.
and it I don't think you hire a vocal powerhouse like Lady Gaga coming off of A Star Is Born and stuff like that. I don't think you hire her for something that's only going to have like a number or two.
Right.
So it really makes me wonder like where they're going to go with this. Are they going to true romance it somehow? Are they going to like, yeah, I want to see what they come up with. But having these insanely brilliant people in a room putting this together gets me excited. Having Todd Phillips with Joaquin Phoenix, bring in Lady Gaga now, and you're adding a whole new genre twist. I have a feeling that we're going to get another like art house Joker movie. So to me,
Right.
that takes some of the sting off of it being a sequel. It's not like they're going to try to like repeat what worked in the first one. They're going to do some other great artistic twist on mythology.
Yeah.
So
So I would say from last week when I covered this, we were talking. I was talking a little bit about the title, which I'm
yeah,
assuming is the title. It's what's on the script, and I sound stupid saying anything in French, but it's Joker Folie à Deux,
yeah,
which is actually a
the mistake of
psychiatric
two or something like that.
condition.
Oh,
Yeah, it's actually a real condition where two people start to share in the same delusions. So
oh,
if you actually
yeah,
listen to the episode, or for
yeah,
listeners that did listen or watch, you
yeah.
kind of hear me kind of like I was talking about it in real time, a little sour on it. Like as I just mentioned, I'm
But
not crazy
then
about a
you
sequel.
realized at
And then
the
I
end,
said, well, when the first movie was making a statement certainly about mental health and how we treat people in this country. I mean,
yeah,
there's a direct correlation with that. So I said, well, what they have to if they really said, we're not going to do this unless we have something to say, what is it going to be? And as I started
yeah,
like mulling it over and talking about it, I said, well, if you think in this country about, maybe, and I tried not to, I don't want to get political. I didn't really get very political. I tried not to,
yeah,
but you think about this country and just things that have been going on in recent years and, the delusions that some people kind of share in, without
yeah.
getting too specific.
And
I said, maybe there is something there.
about shared delusions.
About shared
Mm,
delusion, someone saying something over and over again, that may
making it
be
true.
total BS or a lie, and
Yeah,
people that start to believe it and go along with it and think that is reality. So I was like, there's definitely something there that's very pertinent to today. So as I started talking about it, I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of getting excited for it. And then we got this bombshell
yeah,
like the day after that it's going to be a freaking musical, and I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, this is going to be nuts. But that might be a really
And
interesting method of delivery.
And it's fascinating too, because depending on the origin story they go with, if they go with the thing that it's Dr. Harleen Quinzel and she's a doctor at the sanitarium where he is, it'd be interesting if like as they're doing therapy together and working together, they start, something happens like the chemistry between them where they start seeing, life through the same warped lens in a way.
Right.
But then again, a part of me doesn't even want them to revisit the sanitarium because then again, it's going to over explain the first movie. I think
Right.
this sequel would be great. To just start the story in action and have the whole time you're wondering, is this because he broke out and this is what happened after that movie? Or is this all in his head? Like, don't explain it to us at all. Just, Joker 2, whatever the name is, and just
Yeah.
go into the story. And yeah. Um, hmm. But yeah, so either way, having Lady Gaga suddenly pop up now as a secondary Harley Quinn, we have the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn established. Now we're going to have Academy Award nominated, Grammy Award winning Lady Gaga established as a second Harley Quinn. I mean, this is a pretty crazy time to be a fan. This
Yeah.
is